I dedicated everything to my daughter Lily for 25 years, pouring my soul into raising her, working relentlessly, tending to her through sickness, funding her schooling. I even sacrificed my partnership, surrendered my own dreams, all to ensure she'd have a brighter future. But the day I told her I'd lost my position, her immediate reaction was to cast me out, labeling me a worthless weight, a leech. That was when I stopped burying my dignity. I refused to remain the parent trampled underfoot. I resolved to stand tall though I seemed to have nothing. What she didn't know was that my late boss, who'd valued me deeply for the years I'd given, had bequeathed me a vast sum, and this time I'd ensure she'd grasp that betraying me carried a cost beyond her wildest reckoning. I'd just arrived back when I told Lily I'd no longer be working for Margaret. Before I could explain, her expression darkened, and she interrupted me mid-sentence, her voice rising sharply, her cheeks flaring with fury. "Why would you just quit? That was 10. What's your plan now? Lays around sponging off us." The flicker of happiness I'd felt stepping through the door evaporated. Did she truly believe I'd left that job to slack off? I'd returned to lighten their load. Her words stung like a blow, but I held my tongue. I knew she'd faced strain lately. Her husband James hailed from a family that always looked down on ours. His mother's a renowned doctor, his father a corporate executive. They'd forever viewed Lily's roots as inferior, convinced their son had married down. James, echoing their scorn, often jabbed at her, her income, her past, anything to erode her self-worth. Still, I thought once they learned of the $10 million inheritance Margaret had left me, they'd see Lily differently, perhaps even show her some regard. I kept the money quiet for now, instead mentioning another reason for my return. "Didn't you say James is planning to start a family soon?" I figured I'd come back to assist, support him through it, help with the aftermath, maybe even pitch in with the child. James's face turned icy in a flash. I swear I caught a sneer. "Postpartum care demands expertise," he said coolly. "You were just a clerk. What could you possibly understand about it?" His mother Clara tossed me a withering glance, and added without pause, "Raising a baby isn't merely feeding and changing. It's a craft. You need proper skills. This isn't for novices." Their disdain flowed so smoothly it was obvious they'd practiced this duet. In an instant I was dismissed as an incapable helper. I let out a quiet, sour chuckle. Nothing had shifted. They still deemed me less. Yet, to avoid a fight, I forced a grin and said, "Well, if it's all sorted, I won't interfere. I'll leave the childcare to you." Clara rolled her eyes, as if that was the only wise thing I'd uttered all night. "Fine," she snapped, "but you'll pay for the nanny and the infant specialist. I'll oversee the hiring and logistics." That single line left me stunned, a heavy lump tightening in my throat. Lily leapt in, seamlessly picking up Clara's thread. "Exactly, Mom. You shouldn't have left that job. Our costs are about to soar. You really need to keep earning." That's when it struck me like lightning. They didn't want me home to relax. They just craved a constant cash flow channeled into their lives. To them, I was merely a worker, a walking wallet. My expression stiffened. "I'm 62 and I think it's time for me to rest and retire," I said. James let out a harsh, mocking laugh. "Retire? You don't even have a savings plan. What kind of retirement are you dreaming of?" His words hit me like a punch, stealing my breath. Years ago I'd wanted to set up a nest egg, but it was all of you who insisted I skip it. Use the cash to clear your home loan faster. Now you're weaponizing that against me. James flipped his hair back and sneered. "That's because your paycheck was a joke. Who told you to buy a place you couldn't swing without debt? You should have thought ahead." Lily, trying to soothe James, raised her voice at me. "Enough, Mom. James is stressed about starting a family. You're making it worse. We need cash now and you should be pitching it. You're still fit. There's no reason you can't work another 15 years. Save the retirement nonsense for when you're 80. Another 15 years. I stood there gutted by a grief too deep for words. After all I'd poured out, every sacrifice, every grueling shift, every cent, I was still just a money tap to them. That's when it clicked. All their talk of appreciation and loyalty was a sugary facade to keep me grinding. Back when Lily was in university, she'd started seeing to give them a cushier life and win over James's snobby clan. I uprooted myself, moved to a distant town and took a live-in clerk gig just to scrape together enough for their house. They didn't chip in a dime, yet the title was theirs alone. Back then, teary-eyed, they promised, "One day when we're set, we'll look after you, you'll get the life you've earned." Now I see what they meant. A treadmill of toil until I collapse at 8. I swallowed my tears, steadied my tone and declared I'm retiring. No one decides for me. Clara must have sensed my resolve, worried I'd cut them off. Her voice softened abruptly. Look, we get it, but let's be practical. There's no extra space here. You can't stay forever, right? But I've got an idea. I narrowed my eyes. Her look churned my gut. I know a rich couple needing a live-in aid. Decent pay, room included. You've done that before. It'd be simple. James smirked, jumping in. Brilliant actually. You could lighten our money crunch. Send your earnings our way. Win-win. Clara you're not the type who needs a break anyway. Work won't kill you. Don't dismiss it, try it. Do well and it could be permanent. My face grew icier by the second. I've quit. I'm not stepping back into anyone's home to serve again. Clara's smile faded, her eyes turning shrewd, calculating. Fine, if you're done with that. Okay, she said, pausing, her tone light but edged with force. There's a retirement home nearby. Nice setup. Meals, a bed. You could work there, maybe in the kitchen or cleaning. Something to cover your costs. James rolled his eyes, scoffing. Now that's sensible. You can't crash in a motel expecting us to bankroll you. At least there you'd carry your own load. Stop leaning on. Fury bubbled in my chest, but I kept my cool. I turned to Lily. You really think it's fine to ship your own mother off to mop floors in some facility just to eat? Her gaze flicked away, but she clung to her reasonable act. Mom, you've always preached independence. Isn't this the classiest way? You fend for yourself and we're square. Plus, she added, pulling out her phone, there's a spot open now, I checked earlier. You could move in today. Then right there she started dialing again. I couldn't believe it. The kid I'd given my whole life to was now itching to boot me out like I was trash. My hands shook, tears spilling free. Lily, I gave all I had to raise you, I said, voice trembling. I emptied my savings to buy you a home. And now in this moment, you see me as nothing but a burden you're desperate to ditch. Is this how you thank your mother? For a fleeting second, guilt flashed in Lily's eyes, but it was swiftly drowned by fear. She shoved my bag over, sending it tumbling across the floor. You think you had it rough? That was your call. If you hadn't split from my dad, we wouldn't have been strapped. I could have grown up loaded, and you wrecked that. Let me tell you something, Helen. You owe me forever. I stood frozen, staring into her wild, reddened eyes, a dull, relentless ache ripping through my chest, like a rusty blade, twisting slow and deep, shredding what little I had left. She had no clue the only reason I left her father was for her. If I hadn't walked away, her so-called rich dad never would have acknowledged her as his own. She might have landed in foster care, discarded like a stray nobody wanted. Every sacrifice, every decision, every tear was for her to have a shot at a full life. Yet here she was, snapping back like a trapped beast, blaming me for ruining the very future I'd fought to secure. I pressed a hand to my heart, trying to calm the chaos within, but the pain only grew sharp. All those years of dedication, surrender and love now felt like life's cruelest punchline. Lily wasn't my flesh and blood, she was adopted. I first saw her while helping out at a rural youth shelter. She was just too fragile as a sparrow, skin pale and cold, her small frame lifeless. The coordinator said Lily came with a critical lung condition. Her birth parents had left her in a ditch. Someone heard her weak whimpers and brought her in. I still can't pinpoint what pulled me to her. Maybe the fear and yearning in her gaze locking onto mine, or maybe because I'd lost my own father young, and seeing a kid in pain hit too close. I went home, talked it over with my then partner, and after soul-searching, we took her in. From then on we crisscrossed the state, chasing clinics and experts, doing all we could to keep Lily breathing. But 3 years in, my partner shifted. He was done raising someone else's kid. He wanted his own. He laid it out. Send Lily back to the shelter or leave him and raise her soul. I didn't flinch. I picked Lily. Her health was still shaky. I was petrified that the shelter meant missed care or worse, her end. So I took on double shifts, sometimes triple, hunched over the dining table at night, eyes stinging, stitching trinkets to scrape by. Somehow through those brutal, frantic years, I kept her going. She pulled through, healed and grew as strong as any kid, even made it to university. I never told her about her origins, not to deceive, but to spare her. She was already a fragile, unsure girl. I didn't want her crushed by knowing she'd been tossed out by her birth parents, then spurned by her adoptive dad. I wanted her to trust that the world could be good, that real love was out there. But in my darkest dreams, I never pictured she'd turn so icy, selfish, and thankless. As livid as I am, there's a spark of relief, Thank heavens I never hinted at the trust fund. If they knew the $10 million was already mine, legally signed over, I can only guess how much nastier this would have gotten. I met Lily's stare, cold and steady. If this is how ruthless you are, so be it. From now on we're through. You and I are nothing to each other. I bent down, hoisted my bag, and turned to go, but Clara grabbed my arm. What are you saying? This is your daughter, you're meant to secure her future. You can't just walk off like this. James chimed in, mirroring her indignation. Yeah, what kind of mom does that? You raised her and now you're bailing. That's beyond reckless. I let out a bitter chuckle. You're a doctor, a sharp mind, and this is your logic. Legally a parent's duty ends at 8. I've carried Lily well into her 20s. What more does she want? Lily's face contorted, her voice spiking with rage. That's not parenting, that's you screwing up and trying to buy off your shame. Every rotten thing in my life is your fault. You owe me forever. Then she yelled, venom lacing every word. Did you even ask me if I wanted to be dragged into this world? I nearly laughed at the absurdity. It was unhinged. I stared at her, a total stranger now, unrecognizable. I must have been blind to raise someone like you. And if you've got such warped, lofty questions, go ask your birth mom, the one who ditched you in a gutter. I wasn't sure if she even caught what I'd said. She stiffened for a split second, baffled, but the anger still gripped her. It didn't matter if she got it or not. It wasn't my problem anymore. I shook off Clara's hold and marched out the door, not glancing back. Furious shouts trailed me instantly. You're abandoning your own daughter. You're inhuman. Don't get cocky, Helen. When you're old, frail, and nobody's there for you, let's see how far that freedom takes you. No one's hiring a woman your age. Don't come begging when you're broke. I stopped, turned slowly, and faced them with icy calm. Worry about yourselves, I said even. That house you act like you own. Every cent I clawed together paid for it. If I choose to reclaim it, don't bet on having a roof. James stormed to the threshold, jabbing a finger in my face, fuming. Don't you dare touch this place. It's in my and Lily's names. Legally up. You've got no rights. The louder he raged, the steadier I became. Fine, I said, voice firm. Then listen, I'll spend double its worth if I have to. I won't let it stay with ungrateful freeloaders. James's eyes bulged in disbelief. Then he laughed, his tone dripping mockery. You've lost it. Double. You don't even have a grand to your name. This is ours, our joint asset. You're just a burned out nobody reaching too high. Get out. People like you belong in the gutter. He slammed the door in my face. I didn't reply, didn't fight, didn't even twitch. I turned to the stairs, pulled out my phone and scrolled listings for upscale homes in the town's ritziest corners. A grim smirk tugged at my lips. If I didn't snag the finest place around, I'd be wasting the $10 million nestled in my trust fund. That night, I checked into the swankiest five-star hotel in the city, then called Margaret's private lawyer, directing him to start legal action to take back what was mine. Over the next few days I stayed there, diving into the luxury property scene, researching, reviewing, booking. A week later I had a visit lined up at an elite, gated estate enclave, the most coveted spot in town. What I didn't see coming was that the agent showing it would be Clara's nephew. The high-end real estate gallery hummed with activity, even with these estates starting well above $1 million. The project's prestige pulled in a constant flow of eager buyers. I just stepped into the sleek foyer when a young man with short hair and a bright, keen grin approached. Good afternoon, ma'am. Care for a rundown of the project? Yes, please, I said. Could you start with the model homes? I trailed him toward the showcase area, but we'd barely taken a few steps when a biting voice cut through the room. Who's vetting clients today? Are we letting just anyone stroll in now? I glanced up. There was Theo, Clara's nephew, James's cousin. We'd crossed paths a handful of times, but he'd left a mark, textbook ladder climber vibe, oozing superiority in every syllable and strut, always bragging about his elite clientele. Before I could respond, he was already marching over, shoes tapping sharply, eyes brimming with contempt. Helen, what are you doing here? I shot him a cool look, and kept moving. I'm here to see a property. Is there an issue? Theo immediately stepped in front of me, blocking my way with a smirk. A clerk? You think you can afford this? Don't tell me you're just here for the free pastries. I've dealt with plenty like you faking it for a quick bite. People nearby started glancing over, murmuring, their faces a mix of unease and intrigue, some nodding faintly, as if agreeing he had a point. The young assistant next to me spoke softly, trying to ease the tension. Theo, I've got time. I can take her around. But Theo pushed him aside without a second thought, eyes blazing with scorn. Who are you to tell me how to do my job? The assistant recoiled, cowed. Then Theo signaled 2 security guards. You two, get this guest out of here now. The room went quiet, all eyes on. I raised a hand calmly, halting the guards before they could move. I'm here to view a property. What's your basis for throwing me out? Where's your manager? I'd like to speak to someone in charge. I turned to the onlookers. You're all here for properties too. Tell me, have I done anything wrong? The guards wavered. I wasn't budging, and they clearly didn't want a mess. Theo stood there, arms folded, scoffing loudly. Go on, make a spectacle. Let's see how long you keep this act up. Just then a man in a sharp gray suit approached briskly, flashing a smooth, professional smile. Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Daniel, the sales manager here. Can I help with something? Before I could answer, Theo cut in. Daniel, she's just after handouts. I was having security toss her out. Daniel's brow creased slightly, but he kept his voice polite. Mom, could you show us some financial proof? This is an exclusive event, and we do need to verify purchasing power. Without pause, I pulled out a file. They checked my papers at the door. Theo grabbed it from me, flipping it open with flair. $6 million. You're joking, he bellowed, loud enough for the whole room to hear. A clerk? No way she's got that cash. I know her story better than anyone, she's bluffed. We can't let her fool us. Daniel stood there, frowning hard, stuck in the middle. I didn't argue. Instead, I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app and held it up. The assistant peered in, whispering, 1, 2, oh my God, over. Gasps spread through the crowd, eyes widened, shifting from judgment to shock, curiosity, even a hint of awe. Someone muttered nearby, wow, she's loaded. Theo's face lost all color, flashing from red to sickly green, to ashen white. He looked like he wanted the ground to swallow him. But he wouldn't quit, his voice still shrill and defiant. Daniel, that app's got to be fake. She can't have that kind of money. Daniel's expression hardened, his brow knitting tight. Theo, enough. Then he turned to me, tone steady and respect. Mom, I'm so sorry, this was clearly our error. We'll fix it. I'll get our top client manager to assist you right away. I waved a hand lightly, giving a calm smile, then nodded to the young man who'd greeted me. No need, he's great, very professional. I want him to show me the place. Daniel hesitated, uneasy. He's new, still learning technically. I was just concerned he might lack experience. I like him, I said firmly. No room for debate. I'm buying today and I want it through him. Daniel nodded fast, flustered but keen. Of course, absolutely. Take excellent care of our valued guest. Theo lingered off to the side, face rigid, lips quivering with bottled-up rage. As I walked off, he hissed under his breath. Just a puffed-up errand runner acting like she's some. I brushed Theo off entirely, and pointed to the scale model dominating the showroom's center. I want to see this one, I told Liam. The moment I saw that estate, I was sold. Vaulted ceilings in the main hall, a sprawling courtyard garden, a glassed-in porch, stretching over 200. Best of all, it was fully furnished and move-in ready. I'll take it, I said without a pause. Let's start the paperwork. Liam's eyes sparkled with thrill. Mom, are you sure? I could show you more options. I'm free. No need, I replied. This one's perfect. He could hardly hide his glee. Mom, this is my first sale ever. You're my good luck charm. We moved to the signing desk, and as I skimmed the documents, a quiet buzz grew behind me. Damn, she signed like it's nothing. 200 grand. Didn't even flinch. Cash speaks. That's real wealth right there. But then a skeptic muttered. Wait, didn't Theo say she's just a clerk? Probably flaunting her boss's funds. Even lackeys play big now, strutting with someone else's card. Who'd trust a clerk with millions? Theo's voice sliced through the whispers, dripping with that snide venom he wielded so well. Oh, you don't know the half of it. She's no ordinary clerk. She's one of those live-in aides for rich old guys, you know, not just filing and fetching, if you get me. No way at her age. That's shameless. Some people will trade anything for a buck. Her family must be mortified. I set the contract down, and turned to Liam with a steady smile. Liam, could you grab Daniel again? I'd like to buy another property. The room went dead silent, like the air itself stopped. Liam's eyes widened, his voice quaking with shock. Mom, you're sure you want another? Yes, I said coolly. One to live in, one to invest, though I've got a small favor. Daniel can help with. Daniel hurried back, his grin wider than before, practically beaming. Hello again, Mom. How can I assist? I've locked in the first property, I said. I'm ready to sign for it, and add a second unit too. But I paused, my tone icing over. I expect your team to deal with certain staff misconduct. Daniel's smile dimmed, his eyes scanned the room, landing fast on Theo. Theo, he snapped, stirring trouble again. Apologize to the client now. Theo jutted his chin out, unyielding. Why should I? I spoke facts. She was a clerk, one of those live-in types who pampers rich old men. Don't glare at me, her daughter said it herself. I raised my head slowly, eyes narrowing as I locked onto him. You're saying Lily told you? Well, here's something back. She once bragged your sales record didn't come from talent, but from cozying up to clients after hours. True, Theo, his face went pale, lips quivering. You're lying, that's libel. Oh, didn't you just libel me minutes ago? Now you know what defamation. I turned to Daniel, who caught the hint instantly, his face turning stern. Theo, that's it. Security, get him out. He's done here as of today. Theo's panic surged. Tears brimmed and spilled. Daniel, I wasn't lying, she was a clerk. But Daniel's voice stayed hard. You've breached company rules. Badly. You're fired effective now. I lifted a hand, stopping the guards mid-step. Wait, I said calmly. He's not leaving yet. He slandered me publicly. I'm not letting it go. Right then I pulled out my phone and dialed. Hello, yes, police department. I'd like to report defamation and public harassment. 10 minutes later, 2 officers arrived at the gallery. After hearing my side and checking the scene, they gave Theo a stern warning, making it crystal clear. Without a public apology I could press charge. Cornered and trembling with fury, Theo finally muttered through gritted teeth. I'm sorry. Theo muttered, throwing me and Liam one final venomous glare before stomping off. His eyes blazing with jealousy, especially as he watched Liam gearing up to seal the second deal. The same Liam he'd sneered at an hour earlier was now the day's top performer. By the end I'd signed for both estates, paid in full without a flicker of doubt. Liam stood beside me, eyes glistening with feeling. He could hardly speak. Mom, I can't thank you enough. 3 months here, not one sale. Then today, 2 in a row. You're my miracle. To show his appreciation he offered to personally handle the deep cleaning and move-in setup. I accepted with a smile. For the first time in ages I felt unburdened, as if years of shame, anger and hurt had been swept away like dirt beyond my new estate's gate. That night, back at my hotel, my phone buzzed. So, what did you do to tank Theo's job? His whole family's hounding us now, demanding explanations. How are you fixing this? Lily's voice breezed out. Let them come. It's your mess now. I told you we're through. I owe you nothing. You kicked up this storm and expect me to clean it up. That's rich. Her casual gall lit a fire in me. Mess? Theo slandered me in public. He dug his own grave. The cops were there. Think they showed up for kicks. If this blows up, don't think you'll skate free. Lily paused, then her tone softened, calculated. Okay, let's drop it. By the way, she hesitated, that greedy edge creeping in. Who's your new boss? They must be rolling in it. Treating you pretty nice, huh? I smirked to myself. There it was, her nose twitching for cash. Doesn't matter who they are, it's got nothing to do with you, Lily. One last time, we're done. I hung up, blocking every number tied to her James and their clan. But days after settling into my new place, I crossed paths with someone unexpected. Claire. That afternoon I was at a posh violin shop downtown, eyeing a sleek model. I just sat at a display piece, fingers poised to tap the strings, when the doors burst open, footsteps clattering in. Clara swept in, flanked by her usual posse of loud, self-important pals. What kind of place is this? She scoffed. Letting anyone fiddle with a violin, how tacky. Her gaze hit me, sarcasm oozing from her grin. Helen, did you even scrub your hands before touching that? Weren't you in office work forever? Who knows what filth you're smearing on it? Such a fine instrument casually trashed. Her crew snickered and muttered, casting me thinly veiled disdain. So that's the clerk-in-law you mentioned? One asked, not bothering to hush. Can't buy one, so she comes to pose pathetic. Another, with a towering updo and huge shades, gave me a scornful once-over. Ugh, nothing worse than someone faking refinement with a cheap purse. The shop's 2 staff swapped a quick uneasy look. One approached me with a warm, practiced smile. Please, keep playing, ma'am, that's what they're here for, no purchase needed. I nodded courteously, turning back to the strings to ease the room's rising strain. The other clerk greeted Clara's group. Ladies, welcome, any model you'd like to see. I'd be glad to guide you. Clara shot me a frosty stare, then snapped. We were going to browse, but now I'm doubtful. This place clearly doesn't value its instruments, or customers. I gave the clerk a calm smile. I'll need a bit more time to test some. I'm definitely buying to. The updo woman snorted, flopping onto a nearby chair, arms crossed. Sure you are. I'll sit here and watch you squirm out of this. Can't wait to see you slink off empty-handed. Clara tugged her friend's arm. Come on, let's hit somewhere else. Being near people like this sours my mood. But I knew Clara had heard from Theo about my 2 estates. She wasn't sure what to believe, and dreaded me proving her wrong again. Her friend, though, wouldn't budge. I'm staying, she smirked. I won't rest tonight unless I see her crash and burn. Her taunt rallied the group. They lingered, expecting a flop they could savor. I picked a beloved tune and let my fingers glide softly over the strings, the notes drifting out, gentle and sure. The strains of Claire de Lune filled the space, serene and flowing. The updo woman curled her lip in disdain, and huffed. What's that supposed to be? Just noise. Who taught her to play? She thinks she fits in a violin shop with that racket. Please. But before I could reply, the clerk beside me began clapping, his eyes alight with real awe. Mom, that was stunning. Honestly, one of the most touching takes on Claire de Lune I've heard in ages. The updo woman rolled her eyes so hard she nearly swayed. Oh, spare me if she had real talent. She wouldn't be trapped in whatever pitiful life she's got. Your pandering's too obvious, hon. Just then a few younger folks slipped into the shop, saying nothing, just standing quietly behind me, listening. The second I lifted my hands from the strings, a burst of unprompted applause broke out. Wow, that was unreal. I've played for years and can't pull that depth from Claire de Lune. You nailed that misty dreamlike vibe so easily. Amazing. Clara hovered nearby, her forehead creasing, eyes squinting in silent bewilderment. She couldn't fathom how someone she'd always dismissed could perform with such poise, such finesse. Truth is, I owed this calm, this music to my late employer. A refined, heartfelt woman from a distinguished line. She never belittled me, she treated me like a close confidant, not hired help. In her spare moments, she'd invite me to learn music, sketching, poetry. I never took it lightly. I threw myself into it. Profoundly thankful for her kindness and patience. Over time, she didn't just elevate my days, she reshaped my whole being. I kept playing, letting the strings carry my mind, while the updo woman's face twisted under the rising tide of praise. She bowed her head, visibly rattled, then in a final frantic bid to save face, jerked it up. So what if you can scrape 1 2? Big whoop, if you're so great, buy the violin now. I'd already decided. Coolly I handed my card to the clerk. Thank you, ma'am, he said brightly. That'll be $180,000. I punched in my PIN. Transaction cleared. May I have your name for the invoice, he asked. Of course, I said, jotting it down, Helen Voss. The updo woman went pale, her head snapping toward Clara in shock. You said she just worked for someone, that those estates weren't her. Clara's expression morphed as she stepped closer, caught between disbelief and a messy knot of feelings. You bought this violin yourself. And those 2 estates, they're really yours. I smiled. The receipts and titles have my name. If they're not mine, whose are they? Her face contorted instantly, a whirlwind of stunned envy, doubt, and sour regret flashing through. Helen, you were just a clerk. Where'd all that cash come from? Every cent I spend was earned fair and square, I said, voice crisp and cutting. Clara scoffed. Oh, come on, you must have pulled something sketchy. The updo woman jumped in fast. Yeah, probably a con. Quick money's always dirty these days. Barely had she spoken when another woman, silent till now, exploded. Con, don't even kid about that. She scrambled for her phone, hands trembling. Hello, 911 police, now there's a fraud here. Before anyone could blink, she hung up and lunged at me, clawing for my jacket in a rage. Staff darted over, pulling her back as she sobbed and yelled, unraveling completely. Then it clicked. She'd been scammed out of $120,000 6 months back. Never recovered it, and the wound still gnawed at her so fiercely that scam snapped her grip. Her anger wasn't for me, it was for a ghost from her past. The police arrived swiftly, and to my surprise, it was the same 2 officers I had met the day I'd bought the estates. One lifted his brows, a faint grin tugging at his lips. Oh, it's you again. I nodded courteously, but before I could say a word, the updo woman leapt up, shrieking, she's a fraud. Arrest her now, officer. The grin vanished. His face turned stern. Ma'am, got any evidence for that claim? Evidence? She spat. No, it's a hunch. You should dig into her. How does a clerk afford estates in Pinecrest? That's not normal. The officer sighed, spreading his hands. Maybe she hit the jackpot. Happens sometimes. Clara pounced, her voice cutting. Jackpot? Absurd. She's never had a lucky break. Orphaned young, botched marriage, dead-end gigs. People like her don't strike it rich, they scrape by, no degree, no real job, what's left but shady deals. The officer's expression tightened. Ma'am, I'd watch your tongue. Baseless accusations like that are defamation. We can file a case if it comes to it. Clara's face blanched, she shut down fast. A storm churned inside me, frustration, hurt, fury, but above it, clarity. Life had been brutal. Alone after the split, I'd bent over backwards for a daughter who never valued it. Now those who'd fed off my struggles were twisting my lows into weapons. If I had enemies, it was Clara, James and Lily. They weren't just thankless, they were the true poison in my tail. At last I saw them playing. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, and silently turned it to Clara, holding it high for all to see. You can't stand me thriving, too bad. Looks like fate disagreed. Over $10 million. All legit, all mine, no schemes, no shortcuts, just gifts you'll never grasp. If that churns your stomach, hope it spoils your day. Think I slept my way up? Sue me, I'll be ready. Clara's teacup slipped, shattering on the floor with a sharp crash. Her pride seemed to splinter with it. 10 million, how do you even have that? Her voice quaked, panic piercing her disbelief. Then her face twisted, like a puzzle piece clicked. Oh, I see, you got rich, and ditched your daughter like garbage. Heartless, Helen, you're unreal. I faced her, tone firm and unyielding. Don't rewrite it, Clara. I meant to leave every penny to James and Lily, that was the plan, but you two branded me a drag the second I quit, shoved me out like trash. Think I forgot that house you're in? I paid for every brick, and after tossing me, you wanted me scrubbing floors in some rundown care home to keep funding you, even pitched me as a live-in servant for some rich geezer. What services did you imagine, Clara? Got any decency left? I could have handed your family luxury on a platter. Nope, you torched that yourselves. I turned to the swelling crowd. Tell me, don't these ungrateful wretches deserve what they've lost? The room's vibe flipped. Eyes once hungry for scandal now glared at Clara and her crew with contempt. Clara's face flared red, like a swindler caught cold. You're lying, we never said you should serve some old guy. Oh? I said coolly. Should I play the recording for everyone, your exact words? Her face drained, fear flickering in her eye. It's probably doctored, I'm not hearing that junk. Her voice broke as she spun away, bolting for the exit. Helen, you're rotten to the bone, you'll pay someday. She slammed the door behind her. I exhaled, done for now, but I knew with that much cash at stake, people like Clara and Lily wouldn't stay quiet long. What I didn't see coming was how fast Lily would slink back. Next morning, the front desk dropped off a huge flower arrangement. Someone left it at the gate. Frowning, I hauled it in, digging through, dead center, a card. Have a great weekend, love, your daughter Lily. I nearly laughed, disgusted. It was so brazen it was fun. Without a beat, I dumped the bouquet in the kitchen bin, snapped a pic, crumpled petals, snapped stems, wadded card and sent it to security. From now on, reject anything from her, forward this to her too. I didn't just want her shut out, I wanted her stung. Sure enough, no more flowers came, but she didn't quit, she upped the game. She started camping outside the gated enclave daily, rain or sun, weekday or not, lurking, frantic. Whenever I passed, she'd stage a pathetic show, like a bad soap opera star. One day, she even dropped to her knees on the pavement, sobbing loud. Mom, please, don't hate me, come back. I messed up, I'm still your daughter, how can you be so cruel? I didn't even glance at her, her dramatics just made my stomach turn. Eventually I got so fed up with the spectacle that I hired a full-time driver. Every day, I sat in the back, windows up, gliding past the front gate straight into my estate's garage. No eye contact, no words, no way for her to get to me. Lily kept it up for 2 solid weeks, but when it was obvious I wouldn't crack, she finally backed off, or so I thought. Instead she switched strategies, digging around, until she somehow tracked down my ex-husband Paul, who'd once been her father too. That's when the mess really started spinning out of control in ways I hadn't foreseen. Lily wasn't after peace anymore. She wanted to dominate me, crush me, break me entirely. It was clear, if she couldn't have what she wanted, she'd rather see me. One afternoon, my phone rang. It was Paul. We hadn't talked in over 25 years. I had no clue how he'd gotten my number. Just a heads up, he said, casual as ever. Lily came to me, crying, begging me to convince you to come back. I don't know what's between you two, and I told her it's not my business. I just said I'm not her real dad. Whatever's going on, I'm out of it. She called me a liar, even showed up at my shop, causing a ruckus. I had to do a DNA test to shut her up. I didn't spill everything though, kept my word from way back, didn't tell her where she came from. So she knows I'm not her father, but you're still her only mom. I hung up, steeling myself. I knew it was only a matter of time before Lily came pounding on my door again. When she did, I'd be ready. I'd hit her with the whole truth she'd dodged for so long, tell her to go hunt down the mother who left her in a ditch, and quit shredding my life. But that showdown never happened. Instead, Lily veered into something darker, something I hadn't bargained for. About a week later, I noticed a shift. Neighbors' stares lingered too long, their smiles thinning, forced. I shrugged it off at first, until Liam called one afternoon. Helen, I just want you to know you're a good person, don't let the rumors get to you. Confused, I asked. What rumor? That's when I found out what was really going on. I'd become an online spectacle, but not the flattering kind. Lily had started streaming daily on a big social media site, her channel dubbed How My Mother Forsaked Me. I tuned in and saw the full scam. She didn't outright call me a gold digger or anything juicy. No, she'd woven a sly, pitiful tale, casting herself as the forsaken daughter and me as the icy, greed-driven monster. In her streams, she'd say stuff like, "My mom never truly cared. I busted my back, studied hard, and she wouldn't lift a finger to help." When I hit university, she took off to another town, working live-in for rich folks, leaving me in a cramped rental. When I married, she didn't pitch in a cent, not even when my husband and I were expecting. Now she's loaded. She's erased me like I'm nothing. I don't want cash, just for her to call me her daughter, but she won't say my name. She's in a mansion, cruising in fancy cars, living high while I'm shamed on the street. The comments blew up, people split into camps. Some bought her sob story, others branded me cruel, and then came the agitators. A mom like that shouldn't breathe, she's a disgrace. Poor thing, I'd give her the love she never got. Her stream took off, followers soaring. She even started peddling gear and trinkets, riding the pity wave. Donations pouring in with notes like, "Here's the warmth your mom never gave. You deserve better, sweetie, she doesn't deserve joy." Then it got uglier. Folks started prying into my life. My name, pics, address, all swirling in comments and shares. I'd become the internet's poster child for worst mom ever. That night, my phone rang again. Helen, we can move now. File to yank the lies. Demand an apology. Go for damages. I paused, then smiled faintly. No hurry, let her play it out a bit. I'm handling this myself first. That same night, I set up my own StreamNet account, and launched a channel. So this is the mom who ditched Lily. I jumped into Lily's stream, dropped a few grand in donations, snagging eyes and spiking the chat. Then flashed a message for all. "Hey, I'm the heartless mom Lily's been wailing about. She says I cut her off. Join my channel to now. I'll show the truth, plus $120,000 in cash giveaways, first come first served." In seconds viewers swarmed my stream, traffic surging. I dished out the prizes, and the comments lit up. "Thanks Cash Queen, real content royalty, she's got more heart than my own mom." Surfing the viral rush, I kicked off my broadcast, cutting straight to it. Yes, I severed financial ties with Lily, but that doesn't make me cold, and it sure doesn't mean I abandoned her. You all deserve the real story. I didn't leave because I stopped caring for her, I said steady and clear. I left because her greed became too much. When I first got the inheritance from my late employer, I planned to give it all to Lily and her husband. But their reaction, no thanks, just accusations I was mooching, followed by them ganging up to boot me out. They even floated the idea of me shacking up as some old guy's live-in aide, because to them, my only worth was slaving away to bankroll their lives. I wasn't a mom, I was a cash machine. As I spoke, I flashed a scan of the trust papers from my old boss. A notarized document proving I'd inherited over $10 million in assets. This money, it's from a legit trust, left by a woman who saw me as kin. She had no kids, and named me her only heir. The comments flared up. Lost it $10 million. What boss does that? Karma finally paying a good soul. This isn't heartless, it's waking up. Not everyone bought it though, some doubters chimed in. Still, you're her mom, shouldn't you back your kid? Ditching her after marriage feels ruthless. I didn't flinch. Tell me this, does supporting a child mean being their endless ATM? I raised her solo from age 2, covered her schooling, bought her a house. What I get? Suspicion, rejection, disrespect, kicked out of my own home. They wanted me grinding like a robot to fund their world while calling me deadweight. Then I played my ace, an audio clip of Lily on the phone, scheming to set me up as a live-in aide for some old man, caught by his home security. It was ironclad. The comments detonate. Unreal, this isn't freeloading, it's exploitation. Cutting her off isn't harsh, it's self-preservation. That's guilt turned into a weapon. She's not mourning love, she's mourning cash. Good for you, ma'am. That daughter had it coming. I knew this was just the start. Lily didn't miss a mom, she missed her money tap. This fight was barely underway. I scanned the flood of comments and let out a soft, quiet chuckle, then leaned into the camera, speaking straight to them. Here's the thing. I never had to cut ties with Lily out of the blue. Question marks swamped the feed. I went on, calm as ever, because Lily was never my biological daughter to start with. I adopted her while volunteering at a small-town shelter. She was 2, born with a critical lung condition, dumped in a ditch by her birth parents, barely alive when I found her. I took her in out of sheer compassion, spent every dime I had on her medical care. My divorce from it wasn't cheating, he demanded a real kid, and refused to keep raising Lily. I got an ultimatum, send her back to the shelter or ditch the marriage, and raise her alone. I picked Lily, gave up my shot at my own kids to give her a life. I worked night shifts, waited tables, scrubbed floors, whatever it took. I clawed and saved till she was healthy, got her through university, even bought her a house with my blood and sweat. And what did I get? She barred me from that house, tossed me out like a nobody. Now she's trashing me online, saying I abandoned her, hinting I slept my way to riches. Tell me, how do you deal with that? As I talked, I uploaded proof. Hospital bills, doctor's notes, tuition stubs, bus passes, snapshots of a life poured out, etched in receipts and ink. The comments erupted. Heinous, who repays a savior like that? She squeezed her adoptive mom dry, then ditched her, living in her house and still evicted her sick. God spared her life, she gave her everything, then got knifed in the back. The tide turned fast. Viewers stormed Lily's stream, flooding her comments with fury. How could we back you? Shame on you, faking victim while draining your mom. You're the cold one, not her. Lily's face blanched on screen. Why believe her? She yelled. She's lying. If I'm not her real kid, why'd she bother? She's playing you. No one does that for some stranger's child. Back on my stream, people demanded solid evidence. Without hesitation, I uploaded a scanned copy of the official adoption certificate. A government-issued, verified, undeniable record. The comment section ignited once more. That's it. Case closed. She's legit. This isn't just betrayal, it's a moral collapse. She drained her love, her money, her life, then tried to ruin her. Report her, she doesn't deserve a platform. Just when I thought it couldn't sink lower, Lily doubled down. So what if I wasn't her real kid? She didn't have to take me in, I didn't ask for it. Maybe if she'd left me, a proper family would have grabbed me. She wrecked my life, she had no right meddling with my destiny. That was it. The internet lost it. You're pissed she saved you. That's the vilest thing I've ever heard. Let everyone see this creep's true colors. Report her now. In under a day, the tide flipped. Lily went from tragic outcast to leeching ingrate, sucking dry her adoptive mom's goodwill. Her streaming channel got axed by the platform that night. My lawyer filed a defamation and harassment suit, chasing damages and an injunction to bar her from spewing more lies or attacking me online. The court eventually ruled for us. Lily was guilty of breaching cyber safety and defamation laws, hit with fines and legal costs. Her streaming days were toast, her social media wiped for good. For me it was total freedom, no trace of Lily left in my world, and none ever would be again. 6 months later, I reclaimed the house I'd once owned through a painstaking legal fight. My attorney crew flipped the title back to me. The day it was official, I stood in the living room, eyeing the old drapes, sunlight pooling on the wood floor. For the first time in decades, I felt weightless, like I'd finally let out a breath I'd held too long. Days later, Clara's son, Lily's husband, filed for divorce. He signed the papers in his lawyer's office, cool and silent, not a word extra. He'd clearly clocked her for what she was, a whiner obsessed with victimhood. dripping with bitterness, blind to her own flaws. And just like that, Lily was gone from my life for good. I didn't care where she went. I wasn't looking back. Years rolled by. One day, over coffee with an old pal at a diner, she dropped casually, "Heard Lily bolted to Australia, always posting online about her carefree vibe down there." Curious, I looked her up. What I found chilled me: grainy clips of her ragged and slumped by a dumpster on some street corner, chewing stale bread crusts, eyes blank and drifting. She'd swing from wild grins to gut-wrenching wails that shook her frame. The same woman who'd once faced a camera smearing me as the bad guy, peddling tears for clout, had turned into what she'd earned: a shadow on life's edge. I felt no triumph, no rage, just nothing. She'd become her choice's sum. No fanbase could bail her out, no lies could prop her tale up. She'd squandered the pity she'd snatched, trashed the honor she never prized, and life as it does, caught her in the end. As for me, I was done with a war that sapped me for over 25 years. The 2 estates I'd snapped up in that bitter phase, sold them during a market boom, pocketing a neat gain. What once stood for rage and rebellion became the bedrock of my next act. I settled in a quiet seaside hamlet on the city's eastern fringe, not the priciest spot, but all I'd ever dreamed of. Sunlight streamed through the panes, my yard burst with lavender and daisies. The kitchen hummed with the scent of my go-to espresso. My sketchpad waited under the oaks for slow afternoons of drawing. The air was fresh, the pace easy, life kind. No one called me mom to demand a dime, no one labeled me heartless, no one said I hadn't given enough. For the first time I heard my own pulse in the breeze. The light I belonged to me at last. Sometimes folks still ask, "Regret taking Lily?" I used to mull it over hard, but now I just give a gentle smile and shake my head. No, I say, I only regret not seeing sooner that kindness shouldn't cost your soul. Learning to guard myself was the biggest lesson of my later years. I was never flawless, never a martyr, but I became something better, a woman who lived for herself, and that, it turns out, wasn't too late after all.